Alright, hello everyone. How's it? It's Jaybird. Jason kind of restarted here. TI from Hawaii. Well, success. The last video did work, so I get to continue without any technical difficulties besides the speech impairment they're probably putting on me right now. Right now, yeah, I'm getting like muscle spasms and been having a hard time concentrating on the next video here. After that first one went down really smooth. This second one is there's like a over thought process in my head, and I just have to like kind of sit down and just kind of sit and think and get my breathing back to start this one again actually. So it's been a good 45 minutes from the last video. That's this current situation. I know that I can focus really good on things here, do very tedious and meticulous work, and that goes in my art, in my occupations and all stuff like that, and that has been heavily hindered upon being in this program this past definite 4 to 5, maybe 6 years now. But again, from the childhood right here that I'm about to kind of get into details here with my mom and how she raised me here. I'm going to try and skim down to the main things that have messed with my mind and my childhood of growing up and trying to fit in society and continue as a functional human being and as a person. To me, this makes a lot more sense with the sabotaging of since childhood, because it just makes sense now. And I didn't consider any of this only from this past January. I thought I maybe have just been targeted since the past 5-6 years or something. But when you start doing your research, MkUltra, behavioral manipulation, this makes a lot more sense. What my mom's behavior was, and sort of a weight off my chest, maybe with this realization that she was in this, because it didn't make sense to me. It really messed with me, thinking that a human being could do this to another human being and not share this with her sisters before she passed away, not share this with anybody. But when you look into these programs here now and what they can make you do, shape you, break you, fracture your being, again, this makes sense with looking at MkUltra and stuff that's continuing to this day, which is why I'm actually extra pissed off that I've had to endure so much. And I feel like I've worked very hard to be a decent human being despite all these things I've been put through. I'm not trying to get credit that I don't deserve, for one. I do deserve the credit that I've worked very hard up to this point right now, with all that's happening right now, even currently, with all that's happening right now, that's being done, that has been done to me, and the money and the people that's been poured into try to put me probably into being a rapist, burglar, into jail, the perfect poster child for one of these shootings, in the mass shootings or something. This manipulative people, I fought hard not to be manipulated and to be a piece of shit douchebag, broken person, that with all this happened to me, that I would go and do this to someone else willingly. And I've fought very hard to know the difference between right and wrong, and to be a more than decent person that cares not just for someone else but for yourself, and have that same value towards someone else that is different from you. I don't have similarities. I don't have that family, sometimes I call it the family cultish love that you have for each other and no one else or something. You know, it's just like, I've never fit in with being white, never fit in with being Filipino, black, Chinese. I'm just mixed, so that might have helped with having a more broader aspect of not being used to similarities, but being used to just pure differences and adapting to that and making it work for you. Not being stuck because you're red, I'm white, and we can't make pink. See, I was treated that way all growing up, but I broke that by not hanging out with just locals because I wouldn't be accepted by local people. Some would accept me, of course, but for the majority, no. I'm too light skinned. I'm too light. I look like I'm a foreigner. Um, and that's just outside the house. So while I'm inside the house, my mom treated me, like I say, just treated me like she definitely let me know that I was not to her value or up to her quality standing. I wanted to meet her high quality, should I say. I wanted to meet her high quality standards. But it just seemed like I never would stay next to that for very long. And I was always in the can, in the cell, being punished, trying to redo my ranks. You know, like I say, it was always something to try and get the look of approval, the pat on the head, maybe a hug. Just like I say, I couldn't relate to a lot of people growing up, and I knew that right on. I also didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to be the party pooper either. So from an early age, it was just really difficult to connect. But as I got older, I knew how to connect. I knew myself. I knew how to connect with other people. Actually, as I got older, I mean, I would get later on. Never mind, I'll get into that later on. Anyway, let's start this up. So like I said, I'm going to skim through some of these things like that were supposed to be through why we got into counseling and why counseling never worked. I had mentioned in my last video about the coin purse and the note on the back, and then my babysitters and stuff like that. I didn't finish that up just yet. So with the kid who had the coin purse, stuff like that, so I think it happened like couple times that I would get into fights with him with the coin purse, and I'd get whipped, and then I would get caught and have the note on my back. And then my dad made me stick my arms out like this, and I remember him whacking me so hard that it would leave these marks. I've never had that hard. Whacked on me that hard, but it left all the marks on my hand. And I gotta say, that was one of the first early times I remember, like, how life was kind of jacked up in that way, where I remember I was just wearing my necklace, and then this kid did this to me, and now I'm doing it back to him, and I got in trouble for it. I remember that from early on. Like, this is jacked up. This is weird. Like, I had to watch out for myself in some way, because adults and the kids, just, what is this setup? I remember that from early on. That's what I take it to early on. Punk ass kid. So that was just being kind of early on in preschool. But it also happened that I was supposed to be going to sleep. I remember that I sleep in the room in the back, in the hallway. So I'd run up to the hallway and then watch TV with my mom. I was also waiting for my dad to come home from work, which is like around 10 or 11 at night. For some reason, I'd feel really safe until I heard him come in the door, that I would go to sleep. I felt a little bit protected by him, super when I was young. It changed as I got older, of course, but so I'd wait for him to come home, and then I would fall asleep again. I remember it was always be like around 10 or 11 sometimes, and then they would kind of argue. I remember that. Sometimes I'd wake up to their arguing sometimes about something. I can't remember exactly what, but so I think there was, of course, there was a time where, when you think you're a kid, you're slick with trying to run away and stuff like that, and run from the hallway down back to my room. I was trying to watch TV. She would get up, so I'd have to clear and run back to the hallway when she was eating something, like getting something, going to the kitchen and get something to eat. I'd run back. So of course, it made me some shuffling sound or something like that, and so I got caught that I wasn't sleeping and stuff like that, and on top of with maybe whatever stuff that I might have did at school that I wasn't listening to or got in trouble for. These are things I don't know at the time, but I grew up later on realizing what compiles you, what breaks a human, when you get fed up, and then probably what stresses at her work. Excuse me. And then one night, I'm kind of skipping ahead. Another things that would always happen when I said about the detachment from my mom and I, is that when I was getting dropped off back home when she would finish work, and Mrs. Rebella would drop me off back at home. I would literally remember start crying on the car ride back to them dropping me off. I was just scared to be with my mom early on. That's one thing, I don't know, even to this day, like I thought a lot, long and hard about this. And that's why I feel like, I don't know if she was my parent or not, or if I got switched, or what happened, or she had maybe postpartum, that whole thing when you get kind of depressed and mad after you give birth or something like that. I was just trying to look for answers, and that's just the ones I would kind of leave open as options. Um, and so Mr. and Mrs. Rebella would question me, "What's wrong with you? You're gonna go and see your mom. We're gonna drop you off and see your mom." And for me, I didn't know what was wrong with me, is why I didn't want to see her. I felt okay being away from home from her. And just a little hours from being home with my mom, which is only from the time I got dropped off to the time in the morning where she's going to take me to school. The detachment was just obviously made before that. So when these things arrive or happen, it looks like I'm the problem child, who has some issues, who doesn't want to go home. And I didn't know why I didn't want to see my mom. I just know I didn't want to be around her. And so what would happen, she would have this face like, Jay, I don't know, she's just probably tired or hungry. I never get this. It's every day with this guy, or with this kid. I remember this. Yeah, we don't know why you don't want to just go home and see your mom. And every day, just like the pool with the whole building falling down and I'm about to cry and stuff like that. I do remember every day being traumatized, being dropped off, waiting for that call from the phone. Ring, ring. Okay, I'm home now. I'm about to be home. And then, okay, Jay, I'm going to take you home. And it was like my world was coming down, because I'd wait for her to watch her soap operas, and then I'd watch my cartoons, and then I'd play a little bit outside. And that was like my peace time, because once I got home, it was like a weird, early on, this energy from her, just, yeah, nice day, like I say, it was just uncomfortable, scared, fearful, and she's the one who instilled it in me. Another thing would happen is that when I would go to school, I'd have this little belt, because I would wear pants. And so she would, in the hop, from picking up, and the babysitter would leave. This is her face. Her face would change, her demeanor. This is, I say, from early on. And I don't know why you're crying, and she yanked me from my arm, because she's carrying me from my arm and pulling me. She'd yank me from my arm, and that, would get kind of nuts. I would go in the elevator, and I remember her booming voice in the elevator, because it would echo. And like I said, I didn't know why. I was fearful from her, but here she is. It's like, you want to cry? I give you something to cry about. So it's like that. It's like, how do you? That breaks anyone. That's why I can't stand that from now on. And again, it has to do with more stories later on with that as well. And so once I get into the door, we're walking down the hallway. She's pulling me. She's like, take off your belt. And it's so weird that I remember going to school with this belt, and for how many years with every belt. A belt would remind me from preschool that I would get whacked with this belt, and she would just keep whacking me with the belt, and I'm crying, and it's like that was supposed to make me stop. I was supposed to, if I can hold my crying from her whipping me, this whipping would stop. And that doesn't make sense. But that's what I learned. I had to learn that if I can somehow handle the pain, less pain would come to you, whatever led up to it. But I would get hit and whacked, slapped, beat so much from this point on. It never got better for years and years. My dad barely stopped it. And like I say, it would just break you. It toughened me up, that's for sure. But again, that's something you learn how to deal with later on with some superpower you develop, and then you almost lose control before. And if you don't lose control, maybe you learn how to use your power. Maybe it turns into a power, should I say. But some of the weaknesses become weaknesses, and they can turn destructive. And that's where I think like I say, I've self-helped myself with a lot of destructive things that were sensitized to me, and then obviously people or things in public are going to mirror that, and you have to watch out how you get triggered. into these things, and that's what's continuing, is these triggers that you start in this program, which I'm slowly again learning how to desensitize, which I'm able to maybe smile and laugh at again now, and maybe continue and maybe help other people with this to get through this mentally. That's my plan anyway. This has come to 15 minutes. I should stop here and continue again. Thank you, and for the next video, aloha.